I've really been looking forward to carving the owl ever since I came up with the idea for the relief carving board, and this design has changed like I think at least three, maybe four times. And the reason I changed it most recently is just because I had the idea of trying to create different levels all over the head that would maybe make this a bit more interesting and a bit different from other carvings of owls that you might have seen. So I start off as always with a flat chisel, which we call the bendy boy, to outline the border around the edge and then outline the subject. It's really important to get a good outline on the subject because when you come to doing the scooping out of all the waste, you don't really want to chip up parts of the subject, because it could ruin what you want to do with the carving. So then I just use the same chisel to try and highlight the higher areas. So I thought the eyebrows would be quite high, so I just used the bendy boy to outline it and then take away all that rough stuff around the edges and shape it the way I wanted to. Then I moved on to these bits at the top. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with them. I thought maybe a bit like the fish scales where they go underneath each other, but then I kind of wanted to make them look a bit like feathers for obvious reasons, so I decided to give them this kind of diamond shape. And this is where this nice flat little bent chisel comes into its own because you can really get in all those little gaps and it's easy to handle and it's quite easy to sharpen and it just makes life a lot easier. Obviously you could do this with a normal bench chisel, but with this little chisel sometimes it's just a lot easier to do this kind of stuff. So then I moved on to the beak, which was another quite high part and quite an easy part to do, so I just kind of wanted to get that part out of the way so we could work on the more complicated stuff around it, i.e. the eyes. So it's just a general beak shape. Then I got my AliExpress chisel because it's the only one that fit this kind of circle around the eyes. And then used the bendy boy again to take away this bit underneath. And the grain was really awkward at this stage, so I was just working on taking away a little bit at a time, which is generally a good rule when it comes to wood carving anyway, to just take little bits off at a time, because if you try and be greedy and take away big bits, a lot of the time you'll slip and take off more than you wanted to, or you may slip and cut yourself or damage the carving, whatever. So little by little is quite often the best way when it comes to wood carving. Then I decided to do these bits above the eyes, and I wanted to give them the kind of double facet that the bits above the eyebrow have, but just in a different manner, so that they kind of look the same but different in a way. Then I used a different gouge to outline the eye, and then scoop down from outside around it. If you find that you scoop first of all, and you've got that kind of wavy line, you see how the line's really wavy around where I scooped out? That just means you need to keep scooping, keep going back, taking off little by little. Basically, as you progress, the cuts should become smaller and smaller and smaller, so you're getting more and more refined until you get it the way you want it. And then I just use the bendy boy to start rounding over the eyes. And in fact, whilst I'm rounding over the eyes here, I just want to thank my patrons for sticking around and helping support the channel. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. And a big thanks to our newest patron, who is Jim Wrench. Jim joined at the Team Woodchips level, so cheers, Jim. Thank you very much. You're only the second person in the Team Woodchips level, so Scott Gordon has some company there now. Cheers, Jim. So after doing these little lines around the eyes, I thought, well, okay, let's add a facet again to give it a bit more depth. It just makes it look a bit more interesting. And at this point, you can probably see that it does look like an owl, but it definitely looks different than what your usual owl carving would be. So I just use a toothbrush to scrub away all the little bits that might be hanging on. And then I slap a load of boiled linseed oil over the top. And then after that, I grab a piece of t-shirt, which I've cut off from, some old t-shirts, cotton t-shirts, and that's great for cleaning up all the leftover oil. So that's the owl finally done on the board. I've been looking forward to making that one actually. It's been on there for a while. I did change the design the last minute, but you know, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be back next time with that little border, which is probably going to be one of the quickest videos I've ever done on YouTube, because that is not going to take very long at all. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.